basic on what do you see out of the corner?
Yeah, well, I think we've had 5 practices so far, and I've seen some guys that, have come in to their own. The one guy being Andrew Wilson-Lamp, I think he's really started to grow, being a redshirt freshman, and we expected a lot out of him coming into this spring camp, and I think he's done a great job of elevating his play. Obviously, Charles Woods is a guy that's going to be one of the top corners in the Big 12. Coming back for us this year, he solidified himself as one of the anchor points of our secondary, and I'm proud of him. And then we've got some young guys in there that are trying to learn in Ty Woodby, Mumu Ben Wahad. Those guys are learning. Then we got a guy that's a returner that's doing a great job, that hadn't played a lot of ball but knows the system and is a great utility guy, and that's Malachi Ruffin. So excited about those pieces.
With a guy like Andrew Wilson-Lamp, who wasn't necessarily a corner in high school, what's the learning curve with him?
Yeah, I think anytime you don't play the position, the first learning curve is when you play wide receiver or any offensive position, you see the ball coming at you from the front, and playing defensive back, the ball is coming behind your head, and learning to play the ball from behind with your head not turned to the football is the biggest learning curve. And then just, I think, understanding that you're running backwards essentially as opposed to running forwards has been the biggest learning curve for him. And he's done a tremendous job. He's worked really hard. There's been some ups and downs, but I tell those guys all the time it takes some rain and sun to grow. And the rain is those bad days, and the sun is the good days, and he's growing a lot.
With the young guys, you do a lot of man early and just work that as your base.
We do it all. We put our defense in. We are who we are. Then we figure out throughout the spring what we're good at. And then Coach Leslie and I will sit down after spring and say, hey, this is who I think we are. And then we'll go into fall camp with a little bit better centralized plan on how we're going to play in the fall. But right now we put our defensive package in and try to teach every single kid the techniques and the things that we're doing to be the best they can be.
Do you like what you've seen so far? Out of Mumu and Ty, are you starting to see some of the things you want to see, obviously, them getting into the spring?
Yeah, definitely. Those guys coming out of high school, they should be in high school right now. I think Mumu had a few days where it was raining for him, and he was having some bad days, and then he pops up on last Saturday and has 2 interceptions, which was really big for his confidence and a big part of his growth. I think anytime you start to see yourself as a player making a few plays, it gives you confidence, and confidence, I always say confidence equals knowledge, which equals playing fast, and they're starting to create that for themselves, as well as Ty Woodby. He hadn't played football in a year, coming in here as a gray shirt player, and he's doing a great job. He's picked up the system. I think for him more than anything is just how fast of a pace that this level of football is, and he's doing a much better job in week 2 than he did in week 1 with being prepared for that.
So Marquise Floyd played corner mainly previously at Murray State. Safety more now. Do you politic and try to get him over there? Or how does that work? What do you see out of him?
No, my job is to put the best 5 guys out there in the secondary that we possibly have, and he's one of the best 5, and so we moved him over to cat safety. That's not a permanent switch. That was, again, I've said this, and y'all have heard me say this before, I like to cross-train every player. It increases their value. All right, every player wants to play at the next level. And you hear this all the time. They want a guy who's versatile and all those things. So what I'm trying to do is maximize their skill sets to allow them to play different positions, to give them the best opportunity to help West Virginia, but it also helps that young man. One day he may have a chance to play at the next level, and it may be at safety. Well, if he's never done it, now that's a hard transition. So I'm trying to maximize the skill set of each kid, and he's a guy that's smart enough to handle playing corner and safety. And right now we've put him at cat safety to give us some reps there, and he's doing a great job.
ShaDon, are you getting about what you want in terms of body size, length, the makeup physically of the cornerback that you want to recruit?
Yeah, so what I look for is I look for length first. Length and then speed. Okay, I want length and speed is my keys that I'm always looking for. And I've tried to recruit more length. I thought that was a needed thing for all of our back end guys. If you look at our secondary now, we're much longer, we're much faster, and that was by design.
your transition to West Virginia? What, a little over a year now for you? So how have you transitioned?
It's been great. Anytime you're coaching football, it's something you've been doing for a long time. It's pretty easy. Transition's been great. I really like where we are. I love where I live. My family loves it. We're excited, and I really love this team. This team is really hungry. To give you some context into that, I walked through the hall yesterday, walked through our players' meeting rooms, and every meeting room had multiple players in there watching film on their own. I've been here for a year, as you mentioned, and that's the first time that I've seen that number of young men in the meeting rooms by themselves without a coach, not told, not having given a time to be in there. It's on their own, voluntary, and they're in there watching film, and you see them coaching each other up. That's why I like this team.
Neil has said that he's had a couple more defensive backs for 22, obviously transfer portal likely. So are they both corners? What do you ask him to do?
Yeah, so we'll probably add another cover guy and another deep safety guy, but a lot of that is the best available. The first thing we have to do is I'm high on getting the right fit. I want to get the right character fit. I want to get the right people in here. There's some guys out there that may be talented, but they're not the right fit for West Virginia and for what we want to be. And so I vet their character and find out as much as I can. And then if they're a scheme fit for what we're looking for, obviously we're looking for some cover guys. And then again, length and speed is going to be the priority. And if we can find that, then we're going to add a couple of pieces. That is a must.
So to follow up a little bit what John asked, when you look for a guy, do you look for a guy that can play man first because you can teach him to play zone, or what do you look at?
Most definitely. You want a guy that can play man, and usually guys that can play man really well, they have great length, they have great arm length, and they have great speed. And not just quick guys, the guys that have what I call long speed. In a track meet, you run fast for a long period of time. You want guys that can run fast for a long period of time, and to do that, you got to have a longer gait, right? I'm a country guy, right? You got horses, they got long gait, right? Well, if you got a guy that doesn't have a long gait because he's not taller, he's not going to be able to run as fast for a long period of time. So that's what I look for. I look at those things, and can he play bump and run? I know if he can play bump and run at corner, I can move him inside to safety or spear, and he can do the same things there. So, yes, man coverage is the priority.
Similarly, Neil has talked about how you have to play more man in the secondary this year, too. I heard what you said about just kind of getting fundamentals in the spring, but are you leaning more on man as part of the evaluation right now?
No, not necessarily. We're putting our defensive package in and trying to teach every guy, the basics. What the flat is, what the curl is, what the hook is, what a deep third is, what a half field player is. And we're trying to teach all those techniques, and not necessarily going off of who we want to be, but just off of our normal installation schedule. And then obviously there's some man mixed in there, and we may call a little bit more man because of the body types that we have, but that's not the emphasis right now. The emphasis right now is trying to build a foundation for each and every one of those guys so that they can know exactly what to do with what we're putting in. And then like I said, we get to the summer and fall, we may hone in a little bit more on who we think will be going into to fall camp.
All this speed and length, the physical stuff, great for man that you talked about, but like mentality, stuff that you really have to get them, sit down and know the person about, just to see if they can actually play man. Is that as important as anything else?
I'm sorry.
Just the mentality to play man, is that like an evaluation for you too? Like, it's not easy to do, I'm guessing, but for long as all.
No, it's definitely not easy to do. Yes, it is. It's part of. It's a mentality. You have to be confident, and you're going to get beat some. I always use the analogy with the players. Playing basketball. If you're playing in front of LeBron James and he's got the ball and you're trying to keep him from going to the hoop, you got to stay in front of him, right? You want to make him shoot pull-up jumpers. It's no different in playing man coverage. You want to stay in front of the guy. Don't let him get behind you. Keep your shoulders square. But that is a confidence thing. And the more times that you do it, the more reps you do it, the better you'll be. And so when you evaluate a player, you look at a guy who's played a lot of man, you go, okay, he's going to be confident and comfortable doing that. And so guys that haven't played a lot of man, or a guy that's moved from offense to defense, you're trying to teach that skill set. It takes a little bit longer. but we work it every day. If we have it in the installation or not, we're going to work that technique every day, because I think that's the hardest thing to learn and be comfortable with, is playing man coverage.
You mentioned Tuesday, that today you were gonna put the ball down a little bit. How did it go today?
It went good. I think the offense in the early part of the practice, when we put the ball down, the offense was playing really fast and had the defense on our heels a little bit. And I thought we started a little bit slow, and the offense moved the ball kind of up and down the field a little bit on us. And then the second team segment that we had, I thought the defense had settled down and started to understand the tempo of the offense. And I thought we settled in, and some guys made some nice plays.
You talked when you first got here about the high school rivalry between you and Neil. Has that been reprised any over the last year, and who wins that argument?
Well, he wins most all arguments because he's the head football coach at work. But I try to, when we're not inside the building, I try to rib him a little bit. But no, we hadn't brought up any of the old heated rivalries. But he'll give the dig in there on me every now and then.